Well, good evening. It's Robert A. Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom. And tonight I want to talk about my book, Dissolving Pleasing Others. And here's the book. It's called Dissolving Pleasing Others. And it's about how we go about pleasing others rather than pleasing others rather than pleasing ourselves. And what it's really all about, it's how you want to be pleased is the way you please other people. And that's what this is all about. And I really want to see what's going on in your life. And that's what really, we please others thinking we're pleasing ourselves, we're getting ahead, and that's what we do. But the key words to pleasing others is all about the first words that really taught me how to please myself was please color inside the lines to make mom and dad happy. And how was we taught throughout our lives to be, how did we get taught throughout our lives to be, to please others, to make other people happy rather than making ourselves have the courage to expand our life. And that's where this book really comes in. And I wrote this book, and when I wrote this book, I was really deep into myself, and I realized that when you work for other people, such as I have all my life, you become ingrained with trying to make other people happy without even knowing it's happening. And if you look in the world today and you look throughout, you'll see on the job sites and in many ways, people are pretty unsure of the times and everything that's going on. So we get pretty people pleasing. But you look at yourself and look how you want to be pleased. How does that work and go on to other people? And you please people the way you want to be pleased. And this is a subconscious thing that we was taught since the beginning of time. And that is something I've opened up to understand, that I've really ingrained that within myself. And it's really about letting go of that, because and it's having the courage to speak, but speak in a way that expands everybody. And that's something I had to expand into. But another thing a lot of people are afraid of these days is the truth, and having people say something that doesn't fit into their society and the way they do things. And that is something else we have to expand into. And that book is available at Amazon.com/author/Robert A. Wilson. And it's a download and it's an ebook, so you can take it anywhere. But really what the pleasing others has done is you're taught that by your parents, and you want to please your parents, and then when you go through school, you're trying to please the teacher and get good grades and do all that. You become subconsciously a people pleaser, and that's where the world becomes locked into. And those people that stand up are called rebellious. Well, you got to have a little rebellious and a little resolve altogether, but you got to have an evolving, enterprising wisdom to express yourself for who they are and where you're going in life. So as I move forward through this and I wrote this book, I really allowed myself to open up and see where I was people pleasing and being stand up, but yet not being callous and with malice. And that's something I had to really watch, because when you lose your temper, you say things you don't really mean. And I did have a temper, and I'm still working on it, but it's getting a lot better, because anger is a fear of what you know, what other people know, and how you can expand, how you communicate with others. And when you get into the uncertainty, you really start looking at something else, and you become anger and frustration. And anger is actually into the unknown and uncertainty of your knowing, but yet your inner self has the ability to expand yourself. And so as we go through this, I want to read you some of this, what this book says. Dissolving pleasing others. Focus on the ways I expanded my life to show you the way to expand yours. Dissolving pleasing others is written as a guide for you to discover who you are and your way. As I came to realize, everything in life is temporary. And every job, everything you ever have is temporary. But how do you play down to what other people have rather than expand up to your own talents? And pleasing others, you actually accept life and live down to the other people life. You live down to the societal way of life. And it's really about trying to fit in and not make any waves and things like that. And how's that got you to where you're at today? It's not about making the waves, but it's about hearing the waves of wisdom that come from within to expand the world. And I know I talk a lot about that, but people are here to expand the world and not get caught up in what's going on in the world. So how are we so caught up in what's going on in the world, we forget to put our innovative talents into the world to expand the world? And I wrote Dissolving Pleasing Others to allow people to utilize my life experiences as a guide to unlock and unblock himself or herself, to uncover and discover their talents, innovation, paths of prosperity, allowing my writings to show you a better way to experience life, allowing you the courage and savvy to unlock your childhood and allow your dreams to mature so they can be your new way of life. And I come up with, this is going to be next Tuesday's Facebook Live. It's all about a dream is abstract. So it's allowing the abstract dreamer's audacity to subtract the thinking mind to open up the new waves of wisdom for you. And the reason I use wisdom is because wisdom is not attached to a memory, and it's a curiosity to see how far and how high you can fly in life. We've been taught to stay low and don't make goals. You don't have no disappointments. Well, actually, when you don't have goals, inspirations, aspirations, you actually live a life that you don't want. But it feels good and comfortable because you're in your cozy zone where you don't have to ever step out of the comfort zone. But the world is getting ready to have everybody in this world step out of their comfort zone and into their entrepreneur zone, because it's going to be the entrepreneurs that take this world forward. And I also dedicated this book to my dad, my siblings, and all my family, and even the ones that's across the river. But this is what you're going to read in the first chapter. It's called Dissolving Pleasing Others. I asked myself, how did this statement instill a pleasing others mindset? Color inside the lines to make mom and dad happy. I now understand trying to please mom and dad and the school teachers instilled my pleasing others mentality that I now admit I dissolved it all. As I asked, how does this statement make mom and dad proud, realizing that this was the cause of the beginning of my embedding pleasing others in my behaviors? How do we have a subconscious behavior of trying to please others? And a lot of people try to please others to get ahead while actually basically they're backstabbing other people so they get ahead. And if you witness the world today, there's a lot of unsavory things going on. And people that have a fearful, low self-esteem will blame others. And that's what I call backstabbing. And there's a lot of that going on. But as I also ask, how does trying to please other people in a relationship begin to end the relationship or begin an ungrateful relationship and eventual heartbreak? That's something. I've never had a heartbreak, but I've sure had my controlling feelings hurt. Heartbreak is nothing but trying to control other people's lives rather than facilitate and move people's lives forward. Life is about a participation and facilitation of our dreams, desires, and a better way of life for everybody. And this was another question in here. How was I afraid to admit I tried to please others? And another question is, how did I please others to try to get ahead? Since I'm something that cleared and cleansed and polished my inner core to shine and gleam a mirroring diamonds in the sunlight, I learned from my childhood to please others in an innocent way. So as a child, the outside and the chiding from others caused me to hide memories of the ridicule. How did them ridiculing memories stay with you today? To move your life forward, you got to uncover and go through them hidden feelings and emotions, and quit finding fault, and you'll quit finding regret in your life and move your life forward. And this will really expand you into a better way of life. Everything on the outside we allow to control us is really a fear on the inside. But there's one chapter in here, this one, it really opened up, and this is one I want to, dissolving the enslaving codes and the encryptions within us. I asked myself, how does the world today still have enslaving encryptions and oppressing codes that cause ones to believe I must control other people? And if you look at the world today, somebody's either trying to control you or you're trying to control somebody else. It's hard to facilitate a life where you see everybody as equal and listen and participate on an equal thought processes, for a better word, but it's the inspiration of others that really expands you. And this enslaving codes, if you look at it today, it's still very permanent. And the enslaving codes of today actually come from ancient times. As I look at the leaders of today and the fascist way of life, now I ask, how has everything in the world advanced except the way people communicate, listen, and interact with each other? If you look outside and into the world, all we have is a blame, shame, sham game going on out there, and nobody's going to say it's my fault. And what's really fun is to watch the talk show hosts and everybody. They're still blaming Bill Clinton and stuff for what's going on in the world. That's been 20 years ago. The blame is being lousy at managing everything and being and it's binded lies inside myself. So blame is a discourse, and it's afraid of being responsible and accountable. And that's something I had to address within these books. When you're accountable and responsible, you take the blame sham game out of your life. So is how it's trying to look like a big shot in others' eyes actually just me despising the cleverness and wisdom of me? When I'm in me, I'm free. When I'm outside, I'm being chided by my own controlling thoughts. How does that open you up and make you feel when you get rid of that? And, as I awakened, I hearkened my internal innocence, instantly opened my sunrise eyes to see a new dawn of daring, audacious wisdom. I nurtured my listeningpreneur leadership, hearing my day-to-day escapades, awakened my ascending wise acumen, kinetically energized my gallantry to grasp I am the best because I dissolved my enslaving codes, opening my revolutionizing resolve. And that's what you'll read in these books. Them little rhymes like that, they open the communication from the conscious to the subconscious to the superconscious. And you can allow that communication to flow within yourself. And it frees your emotions and your feelings so you get everything moving forward in an inspired way. But the last chapter of this book is what I want to get to, and it's called, there's another chapter in here called I Stopped the Manipulation of Me. How do you allow your ego and your conceit and your having to be right self manipulate you into things you want? I now resolutely recognize everything I do inside me that is unsavory is my pilfering manipulation of my immature arrogance and trained patterns controlled me. As I mature, I facilitate everything inside me with an expression of expansionism to understand ism unleashed inspirational spiritual Maharishi wit. Maharishi is a Hindu leader. And anyway, I now understand the manipulation began by my parents when they said, Rob, you do this, and we will give you this. So I do things to get things rather than do things for the higher good of myself. But the last chapter in this book is about, I want to get to it. It's called, everything ain't cooperating here, but it's called, I stopped looking good in other people's eyes. How liberated do I feel the instant I stop thinking I look good in other people's eyes, exulting and feeling my new emancipated emotions, grasping this fresh wizardry. I freed myself from looking good in other people's eyes. And what that's about is, how do you try to do things to look good in other people's eyes and leave yourself out of the equation? And that is something else I did. This book is all about expansionism. And that's the last chapter of the book, is Introduction to Expansionism. When you stop pleasing others, stop manipulating yourself, and stop looking good in other people's eyes, how will that expand your life and open up your entrepreneurial energy to expand through life? As you read and feel the words rather than know the words in order to expand your life, see your way free of knowing to expand of understanding, newfound freedom within. I now introduce the simplicity of expansionism, introducing all people to expand, energize, enterprise, and experience, because these words are free of memorized thinking, feelings, and emotions that enter into the having memories such as change. Because change creates conscious, subconscious mind unrest because of memorized, undesirable experiences that enter the conscious mind from life events. As expand is grand, because expand opens a pioneering passion within. As expand, energize, enterprise, and experience are liberated from memory, I am now the explorer of expansionism, sensing internal spectacular magnificence, invigorating spiritual moxie to stand tall and walk on my paths of fame. And that's what this book is. This book is about freeing the inner self and opening you up to understand we've been manipulated by many things, but we're manipulated by our mind trying to please others, looking good in other people's eyes. So how will you feel when you dissolve that and move your life forward? And I am Robert A. Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom. My website is mycowboywisdom.com. This book is available at amazon.com/author/Robert A. Wilson. It's also available on my website at mycowboywisdom/books. But it's about the liberation from everything we've been influenced in our life from outside sources and what we taught ourselves. This is about facilitating and participating in your life. And I want to thank everybody, and I'll be here next Tuesday night. We're going to talk about how the abstract subtracts the thinking mind from our life. Everybody have a good weekend and good night.